All right, looks like we're live. Had to do a little bit of battling updates as always. Haven't been up here in the office in a while. Just got a notification. We're live. All right, we're good. So, what are we catching up on today? A lot been going on. It's my birthday this month. I'm now 40, 41. 41. So, on the downhill now, I think. Let's see here. And people roll in. I got here late, so I didn't even get to see good questions. So make sure you put the questions in the comments/chat, and I will answer some of them. Let's see, pop out the chat here. So yes, unfortunately this week Ladybird passed away. I was on a business trip in Kentucky for a week, and my wife was feeding her, and everything was fine. And then I come home, got home super late, not till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because of just layovers and stuff. Check the next day, Ladybird's not doing well, and equilibrium's all messed up, and like a bacterial/fungal infection. So I move a bunch of fish, get a quarantine tank, 150-gallon quarantine tank ready, move her in there, treat her with meds. Next day, just didn't make it. It was pretty advanced, and what's so bizarre is I've never seen anything like it. The fish looked dehydrated, so like the eyes are sunken in a ton, and then the back of the fish was sunken in, and the belly was sunken in. Even though the day before, doing what you guys see in videos, where it's up at the glass, begging for food and all that. So, look through video footage. Don't see any traumatic events, like maybe she broke her back hitting the side or anything like that. Just kind of a mystery, and so a bummer. Had her for roughly 8 years or so, and now I'm Mabu pufferless. So, taking a break from that for a bit. I still love puffers in general, but my life's been pretty crazy busy lately, and not that anyone else could have done, or not that I could have done anything that different than people watching the fish would have done, but would like to dedicate more time to the next wet pet type of scenario. So, no big pets. Elmer's moved to the store. Yeah, it can be hard when you're in the face of YouTube and everybody's watching what you're doing, because everyone after the fact, did you try this? Did you do this thing? And as my response to people is like, well, the trained team of people that have been working with movie puffers for the last 20 years, we tried our best. And then this is where we failed. We haven't learned anything on these two, really, because wasn't anything to learn. So there's not always something to learn, which is unfortunate. Yes. These new mugs are new. They've gone through the testing, and they're now for sale on the website. I call them a big camp mug. They are ceramic, but they're bigger. Like if you wanted some soup for lunch with a half sandwich or something, or just a giant thing of coffee, or I'm having some broth right now. Time for a snapping turtle in my life? I'm pretty sure they're illegal in my state, so not likely anytime soon. Is this a new shirt? It is a new shirt. It's yeah. I like the florally stuff, if you can't tell. As I'll wear the other one a lot of times, more monochromatic color, but for a 48-hour driving move, is it better to do fish in buckets with water changes, or a few fish in bags with insulated cooler boxes and plop and drop them at the original or at the new location? I think the size of fish is going to matter on that a lot. 48 hours, end to end. I think it also matters how many fish. If you have like 1 or 2 aquariums, I'd probably just use like big coolers and move it that way, like like a party cooler or camping cooler. Fill it like a third with water. I'd put a sponge filter in there with a battery backup, and I would just rock that for like 2 days, doing very, very minimal water changes, having not fed a few days before. Bring it in. If you're staying in a hotel, bring it inside. A lot of people leave it outside going, it'll be fine. It's not fine. It gets real cold. So bring it inside with you. Basically, I say treat it like a dog or a cat or any other pet. Like most times you're not going to leave them in the car, bring them into the hotel room or whatever you're going to do. If you do that, sets you up for a lot of success. Obviously you can put a little bit of extra prime in there and do some other stuff. I've actually got a whole video where I traveled for a week on a channel with fish, and we used like some sweater boxes and stuff to do it. We had to change water in the hotel room and everything. And yeah, a week is a lot different than 2 days, though. 2 days, I'd probably just kind of set it and forget it. Let's see. New lights for the Cross River Puffer from Leo. Yeah, our light's been doing well. Our little campaign of beating the light up has been doing pretty well. It's something I thought of, like the Timex commercials and other stuff. I believe the lighting market is just so competitive, and the average consumer really doesn't know about lighting. And so I can point out all the ways in which our light is better, but I'm not sure that it resonates with people. So if you try and break it or put it underwater or do these things that they go, hey, that looks sturdy, people are buying it. Where when I talk about par levels, most people have no idea what the par is on their aquarium is right now. And so, oh, it's more. Well, how much more? And is more better? And in some cases, it's not. So, I basically have doubled down on we have a rad warranty and our lights are built really tough. And they do cost more money, but the hope would be that we're selling you a light that's going to last a really long time and you can dial it as high or as low as you need depending on what you want to do. And in a career of fish keeping, which I say 20 years is about a career for me now, tanks change, right? So a good example, someone was asking me, what am I doing in the 800-gallon aquarium? Well, the lighting that's on there right now won't be the same probably as what Ladybird had, because there'll be different stock, there'll be different plants, there'll be just different things going on. I might go darker in the back, lighter in the front, or vice versa. And so being able to adjust the lighting is useful. Yeah, I don't have all the bells and whistles. They cost more, and honestly, they're just a nightmare for customer service. When people go, are you going to build an app? Are you going to make it do all these things? Probably not. That's the fastest way to make a product not make money and then not get better. So when you see companies like, let's say, a Fluval or someone else with an app and their lights aren't continually improving, it's mostly because of the app development costs and changing it. And it's not that people always go, well, I could develop it, I could do it. 100% you could. The problem is every update to the iPhone. That one's actually kind of easy. It's the 400 other phones you have to support. Like, what do you mean you're on a BlackBerry from 1998? Yeah, the Bluetooth isn't connecting. Like, well, maybe you got to get a new phone. Why wouldn't I have bought this light if I had to get a new phone? And so by eliminating all that and just doubling down on the easy part of it and the bulletproof part, I'm still debating on whether we're actually going to try to shoot one or not. I don't really want to promote that kind of danger, but at the same time, I think we could set up the experiment right where it would live through like a shotgun blast or something crazy. Do the new lights have 24 schedule programming? No, definitely not. Again, when I look at consumers, and so consumers aren't necessarily people in the chat or watching the videos, just in general, people buying. So if we look at, okay, we sold 50,000 lights. Of those people, most would think they want 24/7 light. Sounds great. Oh yeah, moon effects, sunrise effects, all of that. And the reality is they're growing a ton of algae. They don't realize that the moonlight, the blue lights, plants basically can't even see it. You're growing a lot of algae. And a lot of people, they don't include that in their photo period. So what does that mean? That means most people want their lights somewhere between 8 to 12 hours of just like light so I can look at it. But then what people do is they go, well, I want an hour or two sunrise and an hour or two sunset. And what people are trying to pull off is like, hey, I get up at 8 a.m. What if my light came on at 7 a.m. and I go to bed at 10 p.m.? What if my light went to bed at 11 p.m., right? You start getting these really, really long 14, 15, 16-hour photo periods, and you grow a lot of algae, and you struggle with your tank a lot more. Now, you have those extra bells and whistles, but people get frustrated, and then our target market is mostly newer people in the hobby that are getting in and staying in the the easy zone, as I say. A lot of people will transition to a harder zone for a while, maybe up to a year or so. And this is where in the live streams and things like that, you'll see people talking about burnout and just like, I'm losing the passion and this thing's going wrong and that thing's going wrong. And it's because it's a natural arc, right? Is you start enjoying it, you're really enjoying it, really enjoying it. Let's take it to the next level, really enjoy it. And it's too much of a good thing, you know. You had pizza, you like it, you eat a piece of pizza, you ate 2 pieces of pizza. Well, now you're after ordering 4 pizzas for yourself, and you're putting them in the fridge, you're eating leftovers, and pretty soon you're like, I haven't eaten pizza for like 7 days, starting to get tired of it. And so that's where we like to kind of focus on. We like, hey, Pizza Fridays. That's what we want to do. We want to make it easy. We want you to enjoy your aquariums, you know, in a sensible manner. We fully realize pizza's good. We'll go overboard. We all have. I'm currently still overboard, partially because I haven't found the balance between work and pleasure. You know, I like to keep aquariums, but I also have to do a bunch for work, and those two don't always coincide. What's my favorite type of tacos? Crunchy ground beef tacos. And if I was making it, there's probably some sour cream, a little bit of ranch, definitely cheese on there. Let's get some avocado on there. Depending on the time of day, maybe a lot of onions and pico de gallo and that kind of stuff. It's earlier in the day. Otherwise, I start getting heartburn later at night, so I lay off that stuff at night. If not in bags, fish transport is best in the starting and stopping vehicle in a round container and not a square or rectangle container. That's probably true. I don't know that I've ever really tested that angle of aquarium transportation. That's a layer beyond what I've done. I just try to drive carefully. Where did I get that lava lamp? I ordered it probably 7 years ago for the old live stream room. Just kind of always loved lava lamps. It's one of the giant ones. The color's changed and it's not as cool as it used to be. I had to replace the light bulb and everything. Turns out big giant lava lamps kind of harder to find now. Who knew? Because I was gonna get just a newer one that would light up better, but it wasn't not easy. Are neon rosy barbs and rosy barbs the same species and able to breed together? Yes, as well as longfin variety. All of those are from the same. They're just different morphs or cultured variants, cultivars sometimes in the plant world or something you'll hear. Welcome, Paul McCarthy. Yeah, okay, 2 years. I was like, I'm pretty sure you've been a member for a while, and you have been, so. Let's see. Yeah, I think the lights that we have are a love it or hate it scenario. There's a lot of people that like the sterile kind of bluish look. I call that the hospital lights, where you go into the ER or something and you're like, wow, it's really bright and it's kind of a blue sterile light. And that light actually projects. Projects, that the right word? I don't know, but I'm gonna use it. That light is easier to produce and make bright than like a reading light, right? So if you've ever been at Home Depot or something like that, and you go and you buy light, there's daytime lights, there's soft white lights, which are actually more orange, and the same wattage in the your fixture, you'd be like, wow, that's not very bright. This one's super bright, and it's just the way our eyes perceive it and the way it's projecting, and so a lot of people fall in love, or a lot of manufacturers like to use the bluer light because it's just less power and less things to do it, and it visually looks brighter, but that's not necessarily the color that brings out fish as well. Some blue fish look really good under that, but it's not as natural for me, and I'm in the camp if I want it to look more natural. I'm not doing biotopes or anything like that. I like the thought of, when you're sitting at a beach or something and you can like feel the sun rays and you look out and everything's kind of orangey and warm. Or if you go to a river and you're looking in the tannins on the water and you can kind of just see in, it's more of an orangey color. That's what I like with my fish. And what I find is that really allows stuff to pop, in that the subtle colors on my fish, it's not just blue is blazing bright. It's all the colors on the fish and the plants. And so that's what I like. And some people don't. So there is that. But if you do like that, you'll love the way our light is, which, is not very common, I would say. There are other people, but not as common. Shrimp Sanctuary getting ready for Monday here in Singapore. Put in another order of 60 sponge filters. The shrimp people are getting on board to switching over. Yeah, there's a couple different shrimp enthusiasts, breeders, businesses, whatever you want to call it, that basically have taken a liking to the Easy Flow system. Is this even an Easy Flow anymore? No, it's OG. It doesn't have the extra bits. Original. But they love the flow because primarily Shrimp Hobby uses sponge filters. And so like Shrimp Sanctuary is getting them kind of into Singapore and some other places. You've got Eric Lucas of, what is the name of his website? I gotta Google it because now I feel horrible. I don't know why. Is it Shrimply? What is it here? Nope, not Shrimply. It is Pet Shrimp. This is a problem when you learn people, like, you just know them because you know them. Yeah, it's buypetshrimp.com. So he's switching his whole facility over to it. And then who else? There was another one. Like Mike Coleman also switching over, who he gives a lot of shrimp talks and stuff. But yeah, it seems to be that there's not unanimous, but there's a growing trend in the shrimp thing because people think it's kind of hard to innovate on shrimp, and it's like, hey, this is actually just better than the cheapest sponge filters you can buy. And that's typically what a lot of shrimp breeders will use. They just, they buy like the stick-on ones, the double bio sponge ones, and just over time they don't get great flow, and the sticky gets lost, and so yeah. One of the favorite things of my hobby is experiencing the seasonal changes in my aquarium. Spring brings a lot of growth and renewal to the plants and fish. Yeah, it's definitely getting warmer in my fish room as the temperature rises. There's more light. In fact, if Nature Aquariums in Florida is listening, they sent me an email a couple days ago asking if I've ever had a problem with the Casa Wi-Fi timer. I'm like, actually, I haven't. And then, oddly enough, I had a problem with a light like over the last couple days. Like, what is going on? Like, did he will this into existence? And I just needed to update the Casa Wi-Fi timer. I hit the update button, now it works fine. So one of those weird things, like, wow, I never had a problem, and I say I don't have a problem, and then I literally have a problem like the next day, and then I just hit the update button and it works fine. So maybe try that if you had a problem. Tastes like $9.99. When you buy it, it comes in a box, but I was gonna joke. Easy Green fits inside. Oh, by the way, I guess I should let the full cat out of the bag. That's a good segue right there. Did I miss a secret project that you had posted on Facebook you were doing? No. We've built mostly. Is that? I want to make sure I'm not shortchanging people. That is going to shortchange people. I'm just going to say we. Randy and I did a lot of the physical build work on one of the systems we were working on, but there's a lot of people on the team. Aquariumcoop, I think right now is at about 40 people to make it happen. But we now have a warehouse in Kentucky. And so we have been working on that for, I want to say like 3 years with planning and it starts with feasibility studies and talking to like USPS and UPS and scoping what cities. We actually landed in Lexington, Kentucky, but it could have been Kentucky, it could have been Illinois, it could have been Tennessee. We looked at a few other states as well, and just kind of we looked at amenities for employees. We looked at advantages for the business or not. We looked at just mostly it was proximity. So why did this project start? Well, we had learned with meetings. We have meetings a few times a year with whoever we're shipping with, because at this point our company, I know we spent over $2 million last year in shipping costs, right? So that gets us a seat at a table with at least someone middle of the road at the shipping companies, and we can ask them to do things. And they go, "Hell, have you thought about opening up another warehouse or doing this?" Because we're always saying, "Hey, price went up again like 10% this year. How do we combat this?" And so they say, "Well, you need to move your warehouse. You're in Washington. That's the worst spot you can be." And we kind of know that because there's no one around except for like Oregon, and like we're cut off from a side. And so they basically said, "You got to move." Well, they said submit orders. So we did. We took like 3 months, 90 days worth of orders, and they've got a system you can put it through, and it calculates where all the shipments are going. And it turned out that like 74% or something like that go to the East Coast, like east of the Mississippi. And then when you look at these big maps and stuff, even though the United States is huge, no one basically lives in the middle. And it's not no one, obviously, but proportionally, it's like nobody. You've got some population centers on the West Coast, kind of Washington, Oregon, and California. Obviously, there's Texas and stuff too, but Texas is pretty big. And then you've got the East Coast. And so when we analyze the orders, 77% are going to the East Coast. That means it takes longer to get there. It costs, the money has gotten out of control to ship. So by moving the warehouse there, we don't save, like you won't save any money, which sounds horrible, right? We're gonna stop losing money, hopefully. But everything should get to you faster, and employees will have a better like dollar value per hour to where they live. So it was kind of, from what we could see, if we take out emotion and all of that, it was the most sound choice to make after researching. And we did tons and tons and tons of research. That's why it took years, because I didn't want to do this. This is it could have crippled us, and it kind of has crippled us a little bit. We put everything we have into it, we had inventory at Washington and in Kentucky, and we've made the switch over basically seamlessly. There was about a day where there was almost no plants in stock, but for the most part, kind of seamless. If you didn't know, you kind of wouldn't know, other than some people now, or probably 77% of you that are placing orders now, going to place an order. I got it real quick because they're shipping out of Kentucky now. So there will be some that on the West Coast are going, "Hey, my packages now take longer," and that's unfortunate, and I'll be in that boat too. But it's still not super duper long, right? And the weird way is, because we're now at the hub of where USPS and UPS kind of operate, there's still places like in California that are like one day, where it's like, what? And it's because there's just so many going there already. So it kind of, we're still waiting on all of the data because we just switched over like last week, but it's been a huge project and transition, lots of stress, lots of capital outlay, hiring people, all that kind of stuff to make it happen. So it's been a lot. I understand, because I live in Alaska, not a lot of choices here. Shipping can be expensive, especially on new fish. Unfortunately, lights, which I don't have any laying around, but when we had to do something, was like 2 years ago. So we were already researching before that. It's kind of like, what would that look like? Because we know all the big boys have multiple warehouses or strategically place a warehouse. Like Amazon, for instance, has 17 warehouses. But the real catalyst for it was everything over 24 inches getting the surcharge. So everything that was over 24 inches instantly cost, the bare minimum, $5 more. And then if it went over 30 inches, right, so another 6 inches, it was $15 more. So all the lights, so we had like 30-inch Phoenix lights that we were selling for like, I don't know, I want to say like $60. When we'd sell one, we actually lost $2 every one we sold. Just overnight. Boom. 30-inch light, $15 extra. And so from Washington to like New York, a 4-foot light was $43 shipping. And so that's brutal. Now, it's still going to be brutal, but I think we're down to like $34. So that might not seem like a huge difference, but at scale of 10,000 packages a month, hopefully it's going to save a lot. And, obviously it's not all 10,000, right? Because there's still some going to the West Coast and all that. But also to expand our retail partner program, the retailers, they pay the shipping. And so getting closer to more of our retail partners helps save them money, which means we don't, they're able to make a living and keep our products in the store for you. So there you go. Are we keeping the warehouse in Washington? No, we're not. We're actually working on the next what, 40 days? Yeah, the next 40 days. So decommissioning, shipping a lot of the goods to Kentucky and all of that. The next question would usually come with, what about all of your employees? Yeah, back in, I think, November, December, we let them know we were making this move. We offered everybody a move package. I don't know if I don't want to say the amount just because there are people that moved and people that don't, and I don't want friends of family and stuff to know how much we paid them. But I'll say this, it's more than I've ever heard of. So if you move from Washington to Kentucky, which not a lot of people are able to because they got family and commitments and stuff here and spouses with jobs, paid handsomely, in my opinion, to move. And then anybody that stayed with us to the end, we're giving a severance package to as well. We wanted to make sure we didn't have lots of disruptions, and we gave a long runway, or as long as we could. Technically our company size, what can happen is you just show up one day and the door is locked and like, oh, sorry, don't have a job anymore. We're in Kentucky. But instead, I still want to do the best I can to my employees, try to get as many as we could to move. Like I myself wouldn't move because my grandma's here, so I'd get it. And so if you don't move, you still got a bonus. It's not a bonus. It's a severance. And yeah, so just we don't have the manpower and don't have the resources to run two facilities, and it just financially didn't make sense. So yes, Kentucky as in Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's right, the Kentucky Fried Chicken capital of the world. Yeah. So we've got some employees still moving. We had some that moved early, helped train new staff. Some that'll be moving after like leases expire and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's been lots of transition going on for us at the warehouse, both warehouses really. Shipping prices on fish can determine where you buy them for sure. Getting something fast is definitely better since a store carries nothing anymore. Depends on the stores. We're trying to help combat that and get more stuff in the shops. I definitely feel that. There's no reason to go to a store if they're not going to have what you need. And I find that's a self-fulfilling thing. You go to a store, let's say they don't have what you need, you order online, they miss out on the money, they don't have the money to put it on the shelf anymore, and it's just a downward spiral. So we're doing what we can, which not a lot, we're a small company, what we can to help keep more of our supplies, at least. It's not just ours, it's us and Fritz and Zis, and I think it's just those three. We're helping keeping those in stores, but and we produce videos every month. We produce a video for retail stores because we have about 150 of them now to help them. Maybe it's sell fish or product or run a cleaner store or faster store or embrace some technology or whatever we kind of distill down going, hey, this is really good. We use it to train our people, but then also it can help other stores because I would have loved to have that resource when I was newer and maybe I had one employee and I'm struggling to go, how do I get days off, or what are the best days off, or what days should we take off? There's a lot of people still close Sunday and Monday and they have a rough time of it because Sunday and Mondays are actually very high transaction days for fish stores. You're out and about on a Sunday, a lot of people are. And then Mondays, you couldn't make it in on the weekend. You go in on a Monday going, I got to get that fish food. I got to get that medication. I got to get that heat or whatever it is. I got to after work. So, let's see here. Any plan to shoot a video tour of the new store? We will once permitting and stuff like that is done. We've been, you know, permitting has been a very, very long process. There's, I don't know if I've talked about it in video or not at this point, but it took a while to get through the seismic architects. So in the city that the store is in, anything above 5 feet 9 inches needs a seismic anchor. So a picture frame, a light switch, an aquarium, any of that. And so we had all that done. Took them a while to go, well, it's water. What does this look like? What does this look like? We have some very minor tweaks we have to make, and that should pass that part. We have an HVAC thing. It's a new law that's been put into place because our original store doesn't have it. But we have to put in air exchange for the entire store. Waiting on the latest quote, really trying to work with them, showing them here's the amount of people that come through the door, because currently right now it's $25,000, which that is quite a burden to exchange some air. And we're concrete block all the way around, so there's no good place to do it. We actually have to run it from the employee break room through the main store, through expansion number 1, through expansion number 2, and we have to drill 12-inch holes, 2 of them, through the concrete blocks, through every portion of it. So it's kind of getting, still waiting on that to get fully scoped out. And there's some other little, not little, I don't want to downplay them here, but got to do some pretty major renovations for an ADA compliant bathroom. So we got the plans for it now. It's weird. You can, in an ADA compliant bathroom, you can choose to not have a mirror, but if you do have one, it has to be at a certain height. Ours is 1.5 inches too high, so mirror has to come down by 1.5 inches. A lot of other stuff has to change, like the toilet paper holder has to move 2 inches further from the toilet. So there's a lot of stuff that's got to be moved for compliance. Right now we only have 2 grab bars. We need 4. We have 2 horizontal but not 2 vertical. Things like that. So there's a laundry list of stuff we have to punch. But we've been waiting for, like we with our store build, everything that's done has to be done with a company that is licensed in the city of Edmonds. So that takes longer because there's not as many architects. And so people drawing up plans for the bathroom and this and all these little doodads and stuff like that takes a long time. And then, unfortunately, with the city of Edmonds, we were following up. And they're like, well, we're short-staffed. So it took extra long. And so yeah, once we're through all that, we'll definitely do a tour and everything. But right now, it's kind of been sitting for months in kind of stasis mode, waiting for some of these things. Like I'm still, in theory, I was supposed to get an updated HVAC thing on Friday, but here we are on Sunday, don't have one. I'll send an email on Monday going, hey, do you get a chance to work on that yet? And then we could submit that again to the county, and they can go, hey, we do or don't like this plan now. Right now, in the retail store, the busiest we ever get, we have about 22 people in there because we have a door counter now to count how many people come in and out. And the average, though, is 8. So we average 8 humans. If you look at that includes staff, the entire week. But based on square footage and the way the code is written, we would have to air exchange for about 70 people. And that bumps you up into, you need a gigantotron air exchanger and 240 volt power and all of these things. So we're hoping that we can go, hey, that's not super realistic for what our use will actually be. Can we do something that is more in the middle of the road? And we're hoping they go, yes, that sounds plausible. We should do that. I should also mention, of the 30 businesses where Aquariumcoop is, not a single other one has an air exchange system or anything like that. So, it's one of those. Okie dokie. Buy a hammer drill and do it yourself? I can't actually. I have to be, I guess I could get licensed to do it in the city of Edmonds and then do it that way, but I would also need to be on my own contractor. Then I would still have to submit with architectural plans for that HVAC system, and then I could do that, yes. But yeah, it's one of those, like, as I tell lots of people, I try to spend my time focusing on what I can do. I could not live stream and I could be like, I'm studying to be able to drill through cinder block walls and have my license to do it, and make sure that I drop the plan so I know where to drill so it doesn't compromise the integrity of the wall. So there's still a bunch of people that have to you know, do their part to make sure that this whole thing happens. So is Facebook Marketplace a good way to find homes for fish you want to sell? There's still some groups that do it by rehoming, if you will. You know, you can say you're rehoming and that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people use the Band app to kind of sell fish. I don't recommend Aquabid anymore because I find it's kind of dead over there. So I don't have a ton of good resources. I'm not sure how many people are still looking on like Craigslist. So I think what most people are doing now, and someone correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't been in that game for a while. I think what most people are doing is just being like the positive influence in these Facebook groups. And then eventually kind of customers start knocking, going, hey, you've got really cool stuff. Would you sell that to me? Like in a private message. So it's the marketing has turned from like a passive, you got to come to me instead of me telling you what the price is, I think is what's mostly going on from what I can see. Congrats on the warehouse expansion. What did you do differently the second time around setting things up and designing the plant system? Well, we're trying out Greenleaf Aquarium's giant stainless steel CO2 reactors that are $300 each, roughly. Verdict's out on those. I don't know. Didn't build our own and go out of acrylic this time. The fill lines, I'm using the system I use in my fish room. I went with less flow to keep temperatures down in the summertime. If you're running, so originally when we built this first system, we ran pumps that were like 700 watts each. And during the summer when you're battling temps, well, each sump, each like row of tanks had 2 of those in there. So you basically had 1500 watts of heating like all the time. So that would get hard to keep the temperatures down. So we went with pumps now, DC pumps, which current warehouse has this too. We had to retrofit. But new DC pumps, we're actually running on 30 watts of energy per pump. We use 2, or actually we use 3 per sump. So we're now, instead of using 1500 watts, we're using 90 watts. Now, that's not always a good thing. Like right now, it's a little bit cool. Our plant system's running about 68, which is fine for plants. But if we had fish in there, like, well, they like it a little bit warmer on average. But remember, all energy you're kind of using contributes to heat. So the lights contribute to heat, the pumps contribute to heat. And so if we had 1500 watts of pond pump basically running the thing, our system might be running at 73 degrees, right? 5 degrees warmer, which would be a boon right now, but come in the summer would be a detriment. So, yeah, I would rather go lighter and be able to control it with, we can put in a heater or something like that. And I've been reaching out to Greenleaf Aquariums and asking like, what's the diameter? Because these big reactors that we bought, you can put UV sterilizers and you can put heaters in them. And so we're going to start working on some of that. And yeah, mostly it's not so much what would I change, it's how would I design differently for employees to service things. Because sometimes you go, oh, okay, you don't know how to do that yet. Okay, I understand. And so by putting UV sterilizers and heaters out of the way, they're less likely to get broken and have things. Aquabid's still a good place. All right. I guess I'm just remembering the heyday where there was Saturday night auctions all the time and there were tons of listings and not all from out of the country. That's the one that I remember. Let's see if I can pull it up here. I want to take a look. Here we go. Aquabid. How many auctions total we got? Does it say still? So yeah, for instance, if you click on hot items, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 years ago, it would have been like 5 pages of hot items. So things are actually getting bid on and people trying to buy. Where if I go to like guppies, for instance, let's see. So there's 5 pages, which is good. But a lot of times, like this aquatic hub, right? If I click on that, oh, it's out of Indonesia. So, I guess I liked Aquabid more when it was more local sellers. And what I mean by that is from your own country. So less mass listing and I actually think that's where Aquabid went wrong. One, they haven't updated their website in like 15 years, so technology has left them in the dust and it displays terribly on mobile phone, which is 80% of the market nowadays. But then also they started allowing businesses to list. Like I remember when Sickle Exchange or the Wet Spot was doing it, and they were listing 2,000 different auctions and things like that. And that's not what it was about. It was about finding other kind of breeders and hobbyists and maybe small business, like small fish store owners or something. Yeah, if I click on goldfish, for instance, there's 3. It's 3 listings. It used to be tons. What about koi? It's about to be koi season. Do they even have koi anymore? Doesn't look like it. Wild type livebearers, down to less than a page. Used to be 4, 5, 6 pages at the peak. So it used to be something where for me, there was more fish to buy than I had money. Now I can spend an hour on Aquabid going, nothing's exciting me at the moment. So, while not dead, and you can still go there. I don't think a lot of people there's not a lot of advertising going to Aquabid. So, that being said, your local Facebook group and Craigslist and stuff like that, not a lot of advertising going there either. But, yeah, I kind of wish. Oh, I guess I should do my own job. There's that. If you can actually sell and trade fish on our forum, Aquariumcoop forum, once you get over 50 posts, meaningful posts. You can't just be like, LOL to everything. But if you're a participating member, and the goal is not to set up a business, it's so that other hobbyists can trade and sell. And it's not to make the big thing is not to make a profit or money. It's not everyone can trade, right? If I have mystery snails and you have African cichlids, we might not have what each other wants. But, you've got African cichlids I want. I'm willing to pay money for that. And then you can use that money. You can buy from a different person on there. What we don't allow is someone just like literally setting up shop, because that's just not good for our company overall. But we do like the ability for people to be home hobbyists and breeders and share what they're doing. So, because not everyone's got a local fish store. Even this time last year, I'd get a few emails from people from Aquabid a week. Now it's maybe 1 a month. Yeah, it's the end of an era, I feel like. It used to be the spot. Just the spot. Now it's just... And people have tried to recreate it. Like Dan's Fish they did another version of Aquabid. It just never took off. Where lots of people could list their own fish. I can't remember what it's called, but a couple of people have tried it. And part of it also, the reason Aquabid, I think, 1, they have the technology problem, I still think. 2, they don't really have any advertising. But 3, it's gotten so expensive to ship that just less people are doing it. Because when you go, hey, I wouldn't mind getting a trio of those guppies, and you go, shipping $60? Like, yeah, overnight shipping is $60. And so just less is selling overall. When it used to be back in the day, when I first started the hobby and I was selling shrimp on there and stuff, you can ship a 7x7x6 box, and you could fit like 12 cherry shrimp in there, and it would ship for like $7. Now, the cheapest you're getting anything out is like $17. The first packages, like if I needed to, I know when we shipped Easy Green, when we first started shipping online many years ago now, not many, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 probably, a bottle of Easy Green shipped to your door anywhere in the country was $5.40 with insurance and tracking. It was great. Now, the cheapest we're shipping for is about $12.50. So it's over double. And so I think that extra stress for fish the cost of the fish has made it not as much worth it, right? So no matter what you do, when it's like, oh, let's say you're buying a trio of guppies for $30, and then shipping was 15, you're like, okay, $45. But I think when you start getting to like, oh, it's $70, going, I don't know if I like that trio that much. And so there's less commerce going on. And when less commerce goes on, less people are invested. Like, there used to be a guy, I think it was Lots of Fish, who would just sell insane amounts. And he was getting fish from a lot of local breeders and that kind of stuff. He was making mixed packages. I don't think he does it anymore because now it doesn't facilitate a full-time thing. So Get Gills is doing well? I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that. And the reason I say this, not that I'm trying to be the bah humbug guy, but like, if there's less than 10,000 sales a month, not doing so hot. Like, there's only, let's say, total auctions. Like, there's nothing in saltwater at all. Aquarium supply is 11. Books is 1. Live plants looks like 30 different things. Well, no, maybe 40 different things. I think we just all have different what doing well is. Yeah, so just different stuff. And the weird part is, like, how much of this is just Dan's Fish, which you can just go to dansfish.com, use Aquariumcoop to save 5%. We get a cut of it. But, if he's listing all his stuff there, what it looks to be, then when you really look and dig into it, you're like, there's only 7 different sellers here. It used to be hundreds and hundreds of different sellers, and there used to be a live, like on Aquabid, Saturday night auctions. There were quick auctions. They'd happen at a certain time. You would sit at the computer and watch the live auctions and hang out in the chat. That was an event. Now it's more transactional, like, I'm going to click and order off Amazon type of deal, which technology changes and consumer behavior changes and all of that. I still think there is room for someone to do it right, but need a crazy amount of marketing. What was the other one that tried it? Vivi.com or something like that. They tried to leverage. They had some corporate account that got cheaper shipping, and then the people could use that account to ship the stuff. But yeah. Oh, Stefan is talking about Vivi. Did Vivi stop? I know that one of the main dudes works for a coral company now. And part of it is I get approached by a lot of these companies like, what would it take for you to make us a lot of money? And I go, well, I don't know if you're like, I like to try to bet on winning horses of like, I'm not sure what you're doing here is actually good for the hobby. Where did these online sellers go? Amazon or local swaps? I think a lot of them just got out. There's a lot of old timers. Not that they're necessarily old, but like from that era that just stopped. They're just like, most of the sellers, in my opinion, had day jobs, and then they loved their fish room and would just sell more like on the weekend, right? Well, when it became too hard to do that, they just stopped, right? That's the problem. And not a lot of people are coming up from it because, you can't sell on Facebook because you get taken down. You can't do all these things. And so there needs to be a new home for that. And no one's taking that up. And partially it's because, one, every time something goes wrong, the parent company's got to get involved, and that's a drag. You have wicked customer service. And then two, it's kind of hard to make money on it as the parent company paying for the advertising and the upkeep and the constant web upgrades. And so it has been, it's like on a board of ideas of like, if you build it, they will come. I think it takes about $500,000 to do it. And I just don't have that kind of money laying around. I think for sure I could launch one for $5,000 and watch that thing sail straight into the ground. But the amount of, because we've thought about it a lot, actually, is like, okay, I'd have to pay Dean. I need you to ship some stuff every week, Dean. Like, breed cool stuff, get that. Find 10 other breeders that are cutting edge fish, right? Find a way to help supplement the shipping, build the right rewards programs, get the right people endorsing it, build, get enough lawyers to build robust terms of service that doesn't screw over the customer, but doesn't let the business get taken advantage of, all of these things. And so I do think it's about $500,000. And then you've got the whole problem of like, all right, success. Everybody loves it. How do you make at least the $500,000 back, right? So you're just not, it's not a philanthropy. I donated $500,000 to make this thing happen. I'm not at that point. So then it's like, well, is it I get $1 per transaction? You're like, that's 500,000 transactions. Like Aquariumcoop, you're like in its inception, we're only up to like 800,000. So if we only, that's a real hard to break even on that kind of a nugget. So you could go, okay, well, is it 10%? But now you've got people going, this guy's getting rich. He's charging 10% for what? A website? Not knowing you need a customer service team. You need lawyers. You need all this kind of stuff, right? So I think that's what's really holding back. Where when you look at something like an Aquabid, they've already got the promotion, as in it's a known entity. They could update software, right? They could do some stuff. And don't get me wrong, like 6-7 years ago, I approached the guy that owns it like 3 times, like once a year, like, hey, you want to sell it? You want to sell it? I'd love to revive it. I love this thing. But they were never interested. It's to them, to the best of my knowledge, it is a AdWords farm. So every time you open up a listing, if you don't have ad block, it shows you an ad, right? And if you look at 100 fish, like you just watched 100 ads, which made them 42 cents. And if you have 1,000 people do that over the course of a month, like, hey, I made $400 or whatever that number is going to be. So, same thing happened with guppies.com. That person never wanted to sell either. So, sometimes people grab onto these things and they'll just take them to their grave, essentially. Just like, nope, I'm going to lock onto it and just let it die with me. Sad to see, but, when you look at the cost of doing what they've done, sometimes a lot of just right place, right time, market needed it, market embraced it, and it's got, first adoption advantage. Let's see here. Who's got great customer service? The Co-op and Dan's Fish. Yeah. I don't rate Dan's Fish customer service because I always assume I probably get pretty good customer service with a lot of the places I interact with. It's always been good for me. That being said, could be good for everybody. I don't know. But I don't want to go out on a limb and be like, they got the best. And turns out I've done that in the past. A lot of times I get asked, like, how come you don't work with this company anymore? I'm like, well, because they were doing things I don't agree with. Making me want to order some fish on Aquabid before it's gone. Yeah. Aquabid could have done a lot of things better. They could have really explained international transshipping better. It's kind of this, when you're bringing fish in from outside the country, there's a local transshipper, and then they reship it to you, and they had some shadiness where those people were just stealing money and fish, and when stuff went wrong, it was really bad. So I feel like if you're going to do international commerce like that, there needs to be a way better vetting system and also repercussions of taking off the site if there's too many complaints or whatever, right? And it's hard because with fish, stuff goes wrong, right? So did something just go wrong? Is someone actually ripping somebody off? And you got to get in there and play detective and figure it out, which is rough. I don't use ad blockers and I do not enjoy Aquabid. Yeah. The best customer service is to never need customer service. I wish we could be that way. I think we're pretty good. I don't know though. Like I see other companies, that's all I can base ourselves off of. And any given day, like, so I hang out in business groups, right? And sometimes I'll see the revenue and it's like, okay, you're doing this. And it's like, whoa, you get that many tickets a day? How can you have that many problems a day? We still have problems, but if it's like, I'm trying to think of how many new tickets like a week we get, but if we have 10,000 shipments and let's say, 5% are having problems, and it's not always problems. So it's It's less than 5% have problems because there's still people like, hey, my fish is sick. What should I buy? There's, hey, could you let me know where my package is? Hey, I can't log in. Hey, this and that. So, but I think I know the price point. We're less than 2,000 tickets a month. Which when you get down to it, it's not that many. And there's companies that are just doing insane amounts. But they also, you can have products where, maybe you're going to buy an expensive item and you want to ask a lot of questions first. So, just depends. Candy says, I'm kind of biased. I need my job. Yeah, still, I don't think there's ever going to be where no one will need customer service. There's always going to be that. How do you deal with an algae outbreak that's out of control on my planet aquarium? Read our blog articles and watch our videos. That sounds callous, but we probably got 5 articles. We've got charts. We've got guides. We've probably got 4 videos. The TLDR, which means too long didn't read, is you have to balance your light, your fertilizer, and your CO2. If you balance those, you don't have algae anymore. Then you're going to go, well, one must not be a balance. Which one is it? And that's where you delve into the guides. And they start teaching you, like, pick when you're going to balance around. Easiest one's going to be balancing around light. You balance around the light, adjust the fertilizer, adjust the CO2, make changes. Eventually, you'll learn, like, hey, it looks like the lawn's getting a little long. I should trim it. Hey, look at all yellow. Maybe I need to water it more. Hey, that's going on. Maybe I should do a thing. And you got to learn all those skills. That's the hard part. The easy part is kind of reading the 1, 2, 3s and going, okay, that's how we grow it. Maybe if you really want to get a real simple one, watch our video that explains it like baking a cake. I feel like that one's pretty easy. Can I keep Tropheus with a Mubu puffer? You can do anything you want. Would I? No. Just because Tropheus in general, more herbivore, Mubu puffer, carnivore. So if they start eating clam bits, you might run into lots of bloating going on with the Tropheus. As someone out there done it, I'm sure they have. Everything can be done. Would I recommend it? Kind of 2 advanced fish in opposite directions. You'd have to be really dedicate a lot of time and attention to pull that off. It's in past live streams, I've equated it to like, sure, you can keep a Great Dane in a 12-story apartment. If you are very diligent about it, great life. If you're not, well, maybe keep that Great Dane because you have a 20-acre farm, right? Maybe that makes more sense for a giant dog. Is there a resource or someone I can contact to help me identify Corridora? Not really. You could, there's a few people out there that claim, maybe Catfish World or something, but no one at our company is going to, my wife is trolling me. No one at our company is going to be able to reliably do it because you're going to send a message in and then one random person. Depends on how good your pictures are. And then even still, we don't want to be in that game. Well, Corey or blah, blah, blah from Aquariumcoop said this was this. I sold it as this, and the next person says it wasn't that. And that's basically where you get into, like, the lawyer problems with Aquabid and everything. Like, oh, here we go. I have a post on the forum. They have some ideas, but no one is sure. Well, I just think no one's going to be sure. That's the problem. Is a lot of times people assume that everything is a known quantity. Like, let me give a good example. Here we go. Here's a great example. Could someone tell me who makes this Ethernet cable? What kind of Ethernet cable do I have? Cat 5, Cat 6, Cat 7? Can you tell me who made it? What's this thing? Right? So you can kind of go like, okay, well, can you look on the wire and maybe you're going to see like, oh, Cat 5E. Okay. So we can go like, hey, it's this type of Corridora. We're a long snout Corridora, but which one specifically is it? It'd be very hard for someone to actually dial it in that much. Instead, they go, well, it's probably this. I think it might be that. And so no one really wants to be, I guarantee you that is what does this even say? No, this is just a random thing I got. So it doesn't even say. But no one wants to to be the person that I swear it's XYZ, because it's really hard to identify that kind of stuff. Just bred my Peruvian chameleon whiptail catfish. Any advice on raising the fry? Yes, Ben. Watch our presentation on breeding whiptail cats. It's not Jeremy Bosch. It was his friend that gave the talk. We recorded it at Cataclysm like 2017. It should be on the web or on the YouTube page. Let me see if I can find it. I can remember what we called it. When you get 1,000 videos, it's really like, what did we name that thing? It's been a long time. Let's see here if I can even get my window open. Yeah, here we go. I think it's breeding whiptail catfish. With a yellow thumbnail. Let's see. Breeding fancy whiptail catfish at Cataclysm 2017. I'll link it and put it in the chat if Candy hasn't already beaten me, which I'm sure she has. Oh, did I? I'm on a Mac and not a PC at the moment, so I didn't copy and paste correctly. Now let's do it. There we go. Alrighty. Any tips on getting rid of ick when it's hard to keep up on the daily water changes and meds because of my schedule as a single dad? That's a hard spot to be in, because when you have the ick, there's not a lot you can do to optimize, right? Like, you could change your hobby a bit. Like, hey, I keep smaller aquariums, which means water changes are easier and faster. The ones I'll go with, if you don't have live plants, use salt. You won't have to change water. Boom, done, right? Otherwise, in my experience, if you have an active case of ick, dosing with ICX and changing water every day is the treatment that works. So I don't really have a good alternative to that. Someone else might, but I don't. And it's kind of like going to see a doctor. Like, what do you recommend? And then you go, well, do you recommend doing this other thing? And the doctor's like, I don't know. This is the thing I do and it works. I don't know. And so you kind of got to pick for yourself. But my advice would be, if there's no live plants, do salt. If there is live plants, use ICX. Once you get through that bout, re-examine your hobby and go, do I have too many tanks? Are they too big of tanks? Could I maybe get a Python system, or maybe I get a power head, right? Maybe get a power head with a tube on it. You plug it in. What you can do is, if you have a glass top, right? Power head on the end of the tube. You put it in where the 30% is. Plug it in. Go do what you need to do. Maybe you're making your kids lunch for the next day, whatever that is. And then you'll hear when it runs out of water. Like, okay, did the 30%. Great. Flip on the water, get it pumping back the other way. Easy peasy. Keep an eye on it so you don't overflow and make that take way longer. But there's some things you can do. But right now, in the I have ick and I've got a problem today, all of the solutions that will make it take less time in the future take more time now. So no short-term fixes on that, I don't think, outside of, if you don't have plants, run salt. What's the type of fish that sells the most? I would say, in general, tetras. How's my eel? My eel's doing good. What are my tips on eels? I don't think I have very many tips. Don't buy giant ones. Feed them lots of frozen foods and diverse foods. Don't make them compete with everything else for food. Treat them like an eel. Going to the Fish Guys in Toledo tomorrow to pick up some co-op stuff. Do it. Yeah, we've been slow. So if you've been looking to place an order, now's the time. We'll get that thing shipped out ASAP. In general, this time of year, every year, your local fish store will be hurting. We'll be hurting. Other online retailers will be hurting, because you're going, I could mow the lawn today. It's pretty nice outside. You want to do a picnic? What do you want to do outside? So if you're looking to place an order, your order counts a little, feels a little better on a day like today. Sunday, nice out. Get those orders in. Buy your Aquarium Co-op mugs and other supplies. Keep our people busy. If you have the desire, how would I set up a tank for discus? If I had the desire, that's important because normally I just say I wouldn't. So for now, we're assuming I do have that desire. Auto water change for sure. Trying to think. I would probably just do auto water change a ton of water, use wood, change enough water to get rid of the tannins, and very few plants. And I personally would find discus that'll do fine at 80 degrees. That's what I would do. My red bar is bullying my Josh Denny still, so much that my JD33 is now off the market. I feel like that was like some leet speak I don't even understand, just from the autocorrecting. John, I think that's the second time you've donated memberships. Thank you, buddy. I missed it. Well, I didn't miss it. I saw it the first time, but I forgot to call it out. What time is it, by the way? Oh, there we go. Told myself I was looking for an hour. I've already gone an hour. Do I plan on bringing Water Sprite back into the live plant catalog? No, I don't. Not unless we can find a new partner. And, well, there's a chance now. Plants arrive to us at the Kentucky warehouse differently, but the reality was we were having to throw away a lot of plants. Just they're a finely stemmed plant, highly prone to breakage before we're on the way to us. And then there's, that happens on the way to the customer. And we looked at it, it's like, I'm not going to get any money on these. And it might sound weird. It's like, well, is it all about making money? And the answer is, yeah, kind of. When you're paying people to put the thing in the box and get it to the customer, if you're losing $3 every time you do that, you don't do it for very long. So you got to go, well, we need to make like a penny. We need to make something. Positive trend here. And so we need to find a new partner or a different way to ship them to us or a different way to ship them to you. Well, probably all of those, really. And so usually what happens is we just let our competitors have it. And the competitors, they're willing to, in my opinion, other people would disagree with me, so let's preface that, but they're willing to have a lower standard where we know we don't just like credit you on your next order, like we will reship another one. We will give you your money back. We will, including the shipping and doing these things, and we give you the heat pack for free and the liner for free and all these things. So when we make a mistake, very costly to us. When some of the competitors do that, they try to make it difficult enough and all of this that they don't like lose money, which I get. No business wants to lose money, but that leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. And we're trying to be that staple for the next 50 years for you. Of like, yeah, when I need something, I just get it from here because it's just, if I have a problem, they make it right. And a lot of times it's not a problem. And so when we see a problem, we try to eliminate that from what we offer. Like, that's kind of just a problem. We're going to stop doing that. Dirted tanks versus a planted tank substrate like Spectrum, pros and cons. Have used Spectrum and wondering if dirted equals better plants. No, plants don't care. Give plants nutrients, whether you're doing it with liquid, root tabs, dirt, clays, all of that. The plants don't care. You'll care. Do you like the way that the dirt looks? Do you like your water being brown? Do you like the extra ammonia from a clay-based soil? Do you like putting in liquids? Do you like using root tabs? Do you like? Basically, plants want something breaking down in the water. Is it a paper towel? Is it fish poop? Is it hippopotamus poop? Is it other plants? Is it wood? Is it something? It's very rudimentary. That's not even a word. Rudimentary. But basically, minerals breaking down. Plants going to uptake it. You can pick the way you want to deliver it. You should try it all. I myself have done, probably 20 different planted tanks. I know how to do them. I know how I like to do them. I don't do them. I find them messy. I find them to not give the looks I want. They limit the fish you want to do, all of this stuff. It's all the rage. Maybe it's not still the rage. I've been gone for a couple months, but at least it was all the rage of like, the less you can do for your fish, the better. I'm gonna start my own movement of, instead of natural aquariums, I'm just gonna call it like ignore your aquariums. It's like, don't even look at them. That's how you make the perfect tank. I don't even know what it looks like. I don't even know if I have fish anymore. So doing so good. If you don't look at them, you can't know if they're having problems. There's a big trend in just everything in life right now, which my company capitalizes on. We're going to make this easy. At a certain point, you've tried to take everything out of whatever you're trying to do that you're not even doing it anymore, right? At a certain point, in my opinion, you get to the point where it's TikTok, where you're like, you just stare at the screen, you're like, the thing did the thing. Let's do it again. Thing did the thing. Thing did the thing. Thing did the thing. Pretty soon it's been 7 hours. You're like, where'd the day go? Better go to sleep. Oh, I'm having trouble sleeping. Thing did the thing. Thing did the thing. So most of life is devolving into that, and we as humans have to actually eventually go, wait a second. If I don't go touch grass and do something in nature or life or pick up a book or engage in thought or have conversations or have the struggle, where did that book go? I had it here for a while. Whereas basically like the premise of that book was social media is killing us because it's taking away all the struggle in our life. Like why, for instance, why have a greenhouse filled with plants if you're really into plants when you could just watch other people do it and you can learn about it? Great example. Why even have an aquarium? Most people have an aquarium, but they're not really doing the aquarium thing because they can spend 10 hours a day watching YouTube videos or a live stream like this about aquariums, and they feel like they're doing aquariums. Same thing. We've had it our whole lives. You can watch people play football all day long, Sunday night football, all this, and you feel like, yeah, I'm in that. The reality is you're not playing at all, though. So we have to choose whether we're going to be an active participant or a passive participant. I like to be active. I like to clean sponge filters. I like to gravel vac. I like to feed the fish. I like to get my hands wet. I like to feel the fish poop. I like to see the fish breeding. I like to see the babies. I like to see. I like to read about it on the internet. And then I go, I don't believe that. I'm going to try it for myself. And then I go, oh, that's totally correct. Okay, good to know. Oh, that's not correct at all. Good. Glad I figured that out. And that's what I've done for business. But in general, planted versus non-planted, water change versus not water change, feeding versus not feeding, this versus that. As long as you're spending more time with your hands wet and you're in your aquarium, do that. That probably means you're enjoying it, right? And if you're not enjoying it, find ways to alleviate it. You got a kid at home, you don't have time to treat the ick, find ways to step back to get back to enjoyable. Steve had the right book, The Comfort Crisis. Yes. That was the name of that book I was talking about. Let's see here. Birds of Paradise. I want to grow one of those plants. They look wicked cool. I also want to grow, Dean has one, but I kind of want to do my own like goldfish plant. I kind of just want to like buy one. But then I also know like 8 months into it, I'm like, I did it. Now I am so bored of that plant. Why do I buy plants? I can watch my aquariums at the same time as I live stream. That's right. I'm guilty of it. The amount of Reddit and work and stuff I'm doing while I'm supposed to be like watching a movie. Yeah, I'm a passive consumer for sure instead of there in the moment. That's why my wife and I will go to the movies and stuff. We'll go on vacation when we do, which we haven't been on one in 18 months. But when we do, we go to the movie theater. And because when you go to a movie theater, you kind of like lock in. You're like, hey, I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to consume this movie. But at home, it's treated different. Like, yeah, there's a movie on, but like, work's calling. This is gone. That's a thing, and this is a thing. And that, I should respond to that Facebook comment and this. And so when we go on vacation, that's my time to like stop work. And then all of a sudden, I actually consume a movie in the way it was intended to be consumed instead of passively. So today I learned there's scientific proof behind watching fish is super therapeutic. Yeah, I haven't read enough studies to know in which ways or if it's the endorphins or what, but I know I find I get that from fish, but I also get it from, like, I've got geese down at my pond. We've got some ducks. I can get it from watching bees or birds or just anything that I don't really have control of, that I don't know everything about. I sit there and think about it going, that's neat. What is it doing? Huh. Okay. See if it does that tomorrow. I don't know. Ooh, a storm might be rolling in. Is it raining? Like, yeah, all of that for me kind of rolls up into that category of just not, mostly it's screen time, which I realize I'm coming off as like a quack, but in general, for my life, the way I run it, there's Corey with a screen like this, and there's Corey without a screen, and those people are different. And because I spend so much time with screens, I envy the person that gets to not be on the screen, which I know there's the opposite. Like there's the farmer who's like, I don't even have time to be on the internet ever. And they're envious of people like, oh, I can research anything in like the Library of Congress online. Like it's amazing. It's always balance, just like algae, right? Got to get it in balance. Nature heals the soul. It does until you like freeze to death. Yes. Nature, if nature's what you need, nature is amazing. If you're getting too much nature, not amazing anymore. Everything in moderation. How many tanks does the co-op have? Right now, about 100. With the new expansion, I was like another 50 or 60. So we had like 160. That doesn't include like all those small little betta tanks or anything. That's just 20 gallons and up. You know, if you a lot of people will be like, well, let's compare gallons. Well, we have the 1,500 gallon, then we got that 300 gallon over there, and this and this, and like the 60 tanks we put in, they're about 30 gallons. Like that's a lot of water. But yeah, it's enough to be like, that's a lot of cleaning. That's what we know. Enjoy nature daily, just not too much. That's right. Everything in moderation. Too much nature will kill you. Not enough nature. I don't know if not enough nature will kill you, but too much can kill you. But just the right amount, real good. I've got many modes. Freddy from Compton and Alfredo that goes to work and follows traffic signs. I've been harassing Bob lately, going, hey, are we going to go camping again? I have not been camping in too long. Too long. Do you like wood catfish? I do. I do like wood cats. They're fun to feed when you can get them to come out, but they're real reclusive. I've got them in Peru and stuff, but they mostly just hide under wood and wait till you're 6 miles away. And when they know that you could never see them is when they come out. Will I go to Peru again in the future and collect fish? I'd say it's likely. I don't have any plans to. I really, like right now, if you're not following Chris Lukup on Instagram or Facebook, he's in Madagascar. And I was invited to go, and I would love to be there exploring what he's exploring right now. But I had to go to Kentucky and build a warehouse. So I had to do that. Well, I got to go to work instead of that is work, but it's very fun work. That's the nature work, right? Like that doesn't have the screen. That's the nature part. And just because I'm so heavily in the screen part, that's what makes that part fun. Sure, this is enjoy nature daily, just not too much. It'll kill you. That's right. It's my new slogan. How's my business partner doing? As far as I know, he's doing pretty well. He's finally getting through checkups and the healthcare system. If a lot of you have been in it lately, it's so, which a lot of the world is this way. So let me preface that. But in America, only since like kind of post COVID, it's like, oh yeah, I need to see the doctor. 4 months from now? That's the nearest appointment? 4 months? Whew, okay. So it's been taking a lot of time to kind of hit these check marks and milestones. And I think now he might even he's got a date for surgery to kind of put his melon back together. So, still rooting for him, and I talked to him, and I think I talked to him a couple days ago. Staying in contact. The Nerm Squad from Maui. Nice. I'm going to Maui this year. Won't tell you when, because then people will be looking for me. Oddly enough, I run into fans, and I remember it blew my mom and my aunt's minds when I was at a like farmer market. No, just like a Friday. No, it was like a taco truck event thingy in Maui. And there was a fan that recognized me, and it like blew their minds. This was like 5 years ago. Because they just, I'm just a dork to them. I'm in the family. But yeah, it's fun. I like to people are like, what are you doing here? Like, well, taking some time off. So I try to do it incognito mode. Not that I'm trying to avoid people, but I'm also not trying to do meetups and stuff because that's what happens. You're like, when are you gonna, can you do a meetup here? Because we've got, I don't think we have any on Maui, but some of the other islands we have stores and, it starts being like, well, you could write that off. You could do this. You could do that. Like, yeah, but that's not vacation anymore. I need to get away, recharge the batteries. And honestly, what vacation is for me, oddly enough, I go to the beach, we go to the movies, anything without like digital screens. Get away from social media and just like, we bring little crackers and pieces of bread and feed them to little crabs. We watch the turtles, swim. I go in the water. Turtles will be like 3 feet from you. Get eaten by sharks. We try not to crash against the stuff while snorkeling and die. Try to get some good food. All that kind of stuff. And I just try to do that for, somewhere between a week and 14 days with travel. And then I come back and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get behind a screen and tackle stuff again. Oof. I gotta pronounce this. Do I have any experience with Alanakara ethawene from Lake Malawi? No, I don't. Lots of Alanakara, but not specifically that one. Any guidance on getting rid of excess water lettuce? Also know any saltwater aquarium shops nearby my physical store? There used to be Red Sea Aquarium, but they closed down. I don't know if there's any, like, the closest one that sells saltwater might be the fish store. As far as water lettuce goes, either compost it or find yourself somebody with some animals. If they got goats, if they got chickens, if they got turtles, ducks, any of that kind of stuff, that kind of organically, I'm going to call it organic, but like homegrown water lettuce, perfect to be handing out to those guys and they'll just chomp it down. Have I ever had or seen any new issues with the water in Kentucky versus what I had in Oregon? Well, we're in Washington, but the water there looks to be pretty awesome. I think we're going to eventually update maybe the website somewhere that says what our exact water is in Kentucky, but from what I saw when I was testing there, 6.8, lots of minerals in the water. So 6.8 hardness, lots of minerals. Plants are going to love that, especially coming from Florida where mineral-rich water. They have higher pH, but it'll be, in my estimation, it's going to be easier for us plant-wise to go from Florida to Kentucky water than Florida to like our RO water that we're trying to reconstitute. And then also, it's like straight up just like a day-ish faster to get plants from Florida to Kentucky than it is Florida to Washington. We save money, we save, all of these things are good because we've just basically been putting off everything of like, oh, the price is going up. What do we do? Oh. And we just go, well, once we're in Kentucky, it'll get back to we'll get back to level playing field. So when I say we're saving money, instantly you might be like, plants should get cheaper, things should get cheaper. Like, we just weren't increasing. We're just going, okay, just got to get over there. Let's just get over there. Let's see here. Some RPP stores keep the brine shrimp eggs on the shelf and not in a temperature-controlled environment. I saw the new freezers. Is it better to buy from them or online? I don't know that I could really argue one way or another. So we keep them in sub-zero temperatures because we buy $70,000 worth at a time. That's an insane amount of brine shrimp. When we're buying that much, that's enough to last us, like, let's say somewhere between 3 and 8 months, depending on time of year and if we've made a bunch of videos promoting it or not, or whatever. What we don't want, well, so part of this is marketing, right? Part of it is, in my opinion, there's a lot of eggs out on the market that are bad. On top of that, they're not being handled very well. So there's some brands of eggs that sit in wholesale warehouses for years. Now, most wholesale warehouses are not temperature controlled, so they can get super cold, which would be fine. They can also get stupid hot, which is not as fine. And so then by the time you've got something sitting there for 2 years, it reaches your home, and you're trying to hatch it, and you're going, oh, the hatch rate's terrible, right? So I thought, well, why don't we lean into it? And we'll store them the right way, what we consider to be the right way. We're going to keep them cold. We're going to keep them in stasis as long as possible. And then we'll ship them out. And yes, they can they defrost shipping to your home? Totally. At the RPP store? Yep, totally. Can they? But the reality is they're shelf stable for a long time. They're vacuum packed. And when I use them in my fish room, a lot of times I don't even put them in the fridge or anything. I just open it up, use it. And so I feel like it's more like, I'm going to call it like bread. You want to store bread for a long time? Put it in the freezer. You want to leave it out on your counter? 2 weeks, right? Then it's going to get moldy. So, but that being said, it's from the date of opening. And so we tell our RPP stores, I think it's better if you keep them in the freezer because it presents better and it looks fresher. That being said, we have done lots of testing in our own fish rooms where we leave cans sitting there for up to a year now, crack them open, they hatch fine, right? But I don't want to enter, part of it is build the process so you don't find out where the failure is. So let's say we did have an economic slowdown and we're sitting on eggs for 2 years and they weren't in a freezer and now we are going, oh gosh, at the end of 2 years they're having problems hatching. We run our business just in general to keep things as fresh as possible. So when we start doing like flake foods and pellet foods, our goal is as fresh as possible. Where some vendors we buy from, you order them and you're going, this expires in 7 months. We know you're making it with at least 2 years on it. That means this is already over a year old. Like, we want to prevent that as much as possible. So, when we're looking at like our freeze-dried foods, which are shelf-stable forever, but the reality is they're pretty much never older than 6-ish months from date of manufacture. And I don't want to make a bigger claim because I don't know that's always true, but it could be as short as 3 months. Like we got freeze-dried stuff coming in often, right? And so we try to win with, take something from like a restaurant of like fresher ingredients are kind of just better. And as long as we can keep enough stuff coming in and we mix our containers and do everything, we can do a good job. So instead of going, well, let's buy 10,000 tomatoes, like, well, let's just buy 100. We need 100 for the week. Let's do that every week. That'll lead to a better product. Instead, we can buy 10,000 tomatoes, process them, keep them in the fridge, do things, do this, do that. Yeah. But some companies, like the brine shrimp eggs, you can't buy less than $70,000 worth. So then we had to buy $25,000 in upright Sub-Zero freezers. Sometimes you got to do that. All right. I will say we had a customer keep a can open of eggs in a warm room and they hatched. I'd be surprised. How are they getting enough water? Also, I do recommend not leaving them in open oxygen, but there's always a chance for everything. I must say the co-ops are the hands best down eggs I've ever used. They're also nearly the most expensive. You have to pay for the quality, or at least we do. I set out to go, let's make the best brine shrimp egg ever, and in my opinion, we've done it. Lots of people go, hey, make them cheaper, and we have asked the company 4 billion times, and they go, nope, can't be any cheaper. And we go, sorry, can't be any cheaper. Can't you make them in the 1 pound things? We could. You know what literally the savings, if we go from 100 grams to 400 grams, the 1 pounder, the literal savings to us, 4 cents. 4 cents is the difference. And so, but now we would have to carry an extra SKU. Like we've got 1 pound cans that are basically $100. We've got the 100 gram ones that are cheaper. We've got the small vials, right? And every time you add another size, you're just carrying more inventory, and it's more stuff that RPP stores have to carry. And in general, when people buy bigger quantities, they assume it gets cheaper per ounce or per gram or whatever, and it wouldn't. It's literally 4 cents. So there's just no wiggle room. We could maybe switch vendor, but then the egg quality can go down, right? And I in general, I like to reward companies that make our products when they're making something really well. it deserves whatever that cost is. We will do everything we can to lower the cost and shipping from there to here. We always ask them yearly, pretty much, what can we do to bring costs down? Could we buy in bigger quantities? Could we change packaging? Could we? And sometimes technology changes, or they develop a new system, or they go, hey, if you commit to this, we'll buy a new machine, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. But sometimes, after working with someone, you've gotten down to like, there's just no more. It doesn't get cheaper than this. And then you move on to the next product and go, how do we? And it's not that we don't want them to make money. Everyone's got to make money in a system. And I've explained this with selling fish or whatever. Everybody in the chain has to get value. Otherwise, the chain breaks down. So if we get eggs from them and they're like, oh, they're 12 cents for a whole container, and they go out of business, well, now we don't have them anymore. If we sell them to you and they don't hatch very well and they're crappy, well, we go out of business. So it needs to be that they make money and it's worth it for them. We've got to make money. It's got to be worth it for us. And you've got to enjoy the value of the product and be worth it to you. If those don't work, you don't have a working product anymore. So, yeah. Humidity down here in Alabama can stay over 90% for months on end. Yes, you, my friend, should definitely be running dehumidifiers in your fish room if you have a fish room, which I kind of feel like if you're buying cans of eggs, you kind of centrally locate, you know, you probably have a few aquariums. Highly recommend using dehumidifiers. Let's see here. Yeah, I suspect that fish room's got some hidden mold problems and some humidity. Maybe, maybe not. I definitely like a dry fish. I'll take dry and hot than cooler and like, ooh, there's a lot of water in here. If I could buy by the case and freeze for a price break, that would be great. Yeah. The problem is it just doesn't exist. I really, and I'm pretty open with you guys. If there was, I would tell you. Literally 4 cents. And you'd be like, well, you could discount it more. We already don't make very much on brine shrimp eggs. Like, they're kind of just a terrible product. We've considered not selling them anymore because the amount of freezers, the frozen container we ship over, like nobody else is doing frozen containers from China to us. Like, all of that infrastructure to make that song and dance happen is like, we should just not sell these, but it's a good product. So, we're not looking to sell 4 billion units of brine shrimp bags. We basically just want to supply the people that need a reliable hatch, which is me and Dean and other breeders and you guys. And, there's definitely cheaper out there. And theirs is better too. There are ones that are like, oh, it's $200 a can for like breeding facilities for zebrafish and stuff. But they're only like a percentage or two more hatch rate. Yeah, the peace of mind knowing I'm going to have successful hatch rates is worth its weight in gold, especially if you're raising fish and that kind of stuff. Not everybody, there's a learning curve to them because they take a little bit longer to hatch sometimes. They really appreciate the easy brine shrimp salt or just marine salt in general. They like stable temperature. But when you give them all that, that's when you get these just absolute great hatches. And that's what people come to rely on. Where a lot of the other eggs, you get batch to batch varying results and this and that. Ours are at least fairly uniform. So I would say always uniform, but there's going to be someone actually. So. Yeah, brine shrimp eggs I need in large volume. I try to make sure I have 5 to 6 pounds in the freezer when the summer hits. Yeah, we can make eggs more affordable. They just get worse. Like, we buy the best version they have. We also, I forget what we say ours are, 85 or 90%. It's 5% less than what they actually are, just in case someone wanted to call us out, we could prove it and be like, actually, they're better. But what most companies do is they just take lesser hatches. And so when you see economy eggs, you're like, what's the hatch rate? They don't even say. You're like, oh. And, a 60% hatch rate, a 65% hatch rate, like, the eggs that don't hatch are basically don't have value. So we could make ours like twice as worth. You're getting twice for the same amount of money. We'd be more competitive. But then you'd be having lots of unhatched eggs and that kind of stuff. So it's just a more condensed, better hatch is all it is. In theory, and I never buy into this because Americans don't buy into this, but in theory, it should take less eggs to feed your fish room compared to our competitors. That being said, the average hobbyist like myself are like, I don't know, I put a scoop in, I hatched them out of fed. I don't know. Like you're not actually modifying the food. Like, even when you like Legit Fish Food says that. I like that food. I don't like the price of it, but it's like, well, it's more nutrient dense. You'll feed less. Like, no, you won't. You're going to put the food in there and they're going to eat what they're going to eat. Like, that's just the way fish keepers work. So few of us are going, well, now that I'm going to switch from Extreme or Aquarium to this, I'm going to dial it back 27%. You're not weighing your food. You probably don't even have a scoop. You're just, I put some in, they eat it. Good job, done. So I don't think that's a very valid marketing technique. Now, if you can take that brine shrimp, you can beat it with a hammer. Now that people like. Do I sell brine shrimp on my website? Oh, you better believe it. We sell them in the small vials. We sell them in the cans. Sell them both. Why are my new fish so nervous they don't eat? Could be a bully in the tank. You could have lights from behind you casting shadows. They could feel out in the open. Maybe they're like a cave dweller. Could also be new, right? As you say, they're new. Like, give them a week. Sometimes just got to settle in. Maybe they're the new kid at school going, I don't know about all this. I don't have any friends yet. What size fish eat these brine shrimps? I would say as a general rule, a fish like this size and down, it makes sense. There are fish that are bigger that eat it, but you start having to put so much brine shrimp into them for them to feel full that I'm not sure it's a good use of money. So that's why it's big value in fry, like little baby fish. Like, oh, they only had to eat like 5 of those things, and now they're filled, right? But then you start getting like bigger fish. Like, let's say I had big clown lunches. Like, they're going to eat it. But it's, I feed like the rest. Normally what I do is I start with fry, and I keep working my way up in the fish room to like bigger and bigger fish until the biggest get it. Or I ran out. Because in the fish room, I might like, oh, I got 10 tanks of fry this week. Next, 5 weeks later, oh, I've only got 1 tank of fry. But I pretty much creature habit. 1 tablespoon of eggs, come back in 36 hours and got my stuff I need. When am I going to drive over the Aquariumcoop lights? Probably when I get some time. I'm fairly confident they'll handle it no problem. These things, I've put a lot of abuse onto them, and so I'm not so much afraid of will they handle it. I'm mostly going, how do I keep up this interesting? Because if I just drive over and there's no like laugh or funny, just like, I get it. You drove over it. I need to like come up with like, so like for instance, a good way in my opinion to market it would be I go camping with Bob, I get stuck in the mud, and I use a 4-foot light as like a traction board. So all the SUV camping nerds will laugh about it with me. And then I'll find another way to do it. Where if I just like, I could literally walk outside, put it on there, drive over. It's going to be fine. I know it will be because that aluminum is so thick. We've made it that way. I have no doubt. But I need it to be interesting so you remember going, yeah, remember when you did that stupid thing that makes no sense? You would, every time someone says, but you'd never use the light like that. I instantly get a smile and I go, yeah, duh. But you're going to remember it now. You remember the stupid light guy and how it takes a beating. I've already won. That's the win. The win is you took the time, you left a comment, the algorithm's now on you, like fish mold on a sponge filter, and they're going to keep feeding you more of our crap. That's all I'm trying to do, really. Because I know my light's good. I just need people to like slow down from scrolling through social media at 700 miles an hour to go, wait. And the easiest way to do that on the internet is rage baiting, and that is like, no, you're wrong. You sit there and you type and you hit that keyboard so hard, they're so wrong. Yeah. Use it as a light bar. I could definitely use it as a light bar. I also thought about trying to bring it to Hawaii or something and do like the collecting at night, put it like have a battery bank and get stuff to come to it at the ocean. I've got a lot of ideas, and part of it is doing some of it, making sure it's fairly interesting. And what I kind of want to do is I just want to, every time I make a video, just find another way to beat on the light and just have that be the thing. Like you could be like, today Corey's talking about axolotls, and I hate axolotls. Let me skip through and find out what he's going to do with the light on this video. That's all I want to do. Hey, let's hit that like button. All right, fine, I'll do it. Let's see the co-op light shot out of a cannon. See, I would love if somehow this actually became like this big thing, and I could like email, you know, Jack's Cannon channel, and I'm like, all right, guy, we need to shoot this out of a cannon. You want to collab? And he's like, do I? I love shooting stuff out of cannons. And then we do it just for the sake of doing it and being hilarious. Like, it will do nothing in showing that they're actually more better, other than you'd be like, I gotta admit, I've seen that light take a lot of abuse. Do fish introduced to a brand new tank need preemptive treatment with products such as erythromycin and Icax, etc.? In my personal opinion, the answer is yes. You'll have other people say just quarantine and watch them. If fish have come through a store and a wholesaler, in my opinion, they've at least picked up internal parasites. If you're getting it from a local breeder, they may be clean and good to go and no problems at all. You know, kind of know the source. But if they went from a breeder to a store to you, they probably still picked up internal parasites. So like if I take stuff from my fish room to my store, I know how I'm running my room. Don't need to be extra quarantined to the store. That being said, something coming out of the store, to me, I do quarantine. I run my own fish room super duper clean. We run our store clean, but the reality is there's fish coming and going all the time. We do treat them all, but there's just more risk there than at my house. Same with Dean. There's less risk at Dean's house than the store. That being said, when Dean brings fish to my house, I still quarantine them. Why? Because I don't live in his fish room knowing exactly what he does. He's got great fish, but I like to know. I like to be confident because I'm going to eventually bring him to a store. And, yeah, I want to make sure they're clean. Kentucky Ballistics collab. I have no idea who they are, but if it involves something crazy with my light, I'm on board. Am I doing any Aquashella shows this year? No, so far not. I did talk with one of the owners of Aquashella, and we're talking about maybe doing some more events at RPP stores and stuff. So I've done a lot of the big shows, and I know what that event's like, or what that experience is like. I have a lot, I don't know if I have more fun. I have different fun with, it's only 300 people instead of 5,000 people. And it's a day into a small store, and they make a lot of money. I like that. So until I can find a way where either I make a ton of money, or it's super duper good for the fans, or whatever at like an Aquashella or another big event, I'm kind of laying off and going, I do a smaller thing. I like the more impersonal, in-person stuff. You know, instead of when we go to a show, it's just I got to bring a team, and it's literally like, They prep you before you get to me. You got 2 minutes. We're starting the clock. You're like, you get 2 minutes. We got to go because there's 700 people on the line, and they're waiting for hours. And that's just not fun because I go, oh, hey, thanks. And you go, I like your video. Yeah, okay. What is there a question for you? What can I do for you? You want to get a selfie? What do you want to do? Great. Shake hands. Cool. Nice to meet you. I'll try and remember your name, but I'm terrible at it. I'll probably remember your fish or something weird about you. And that's a treadmill all weekend long. Not nearly as fun as like, yeah, kind of hung out with this guy, went to dinner with us. Like, it was a good time. Yeah, it's Jerry. Met Jerry. Am I going to make any new hats? Probably at some point. So one of the biggest reasons we went to Kentucky, by the way, we needed a bigger warehouse. And warehouse space was super expensive in Washington. So it was over $1 a square foot for warehouse space. Where in Kentucky, it's more like 50 cents a square foot. So our warehouse in Kentucky is 4 times bigger than the Washington one. What does that have to do with hats? We were out of room. Now we can bring on more products and not have to go, because the way it was for the past couple of years is, if we want to bring this in, what are we getting rid of? So now we can still keep stuff and go, let's just add this to that. We love the Murphy hat. Let's not change it. We can have both. Is there a favorite overseas product that you don't find in the United States? Probably a lot of the foods. There's a lot of I want to call them like backyard foods. Like in Germany and stuff, you're like, oh, that guy just makes it in his garage, and they're making all the food of this brand. Like, oh, cool. So there's a lot of that. I wish we had more of that. But the biggest thing I've just thought of, the biggest thing that I think would revolutionize the hobby in the United States would be if we got 2 or 3 companies supplying the live foods that go in the fridges, like in Europe. That is so cool when you're like, oh, there's 20 different live foods I could walk in. Brine shrimp in 3 different sizes, glass worms, Walter worms, banana worms, mosquito larvae, red worms, black worms, right here. Yeah, all that stuff. It's really cool. Oh, even like, I think you can even get like earthworms and some other stuff. And they're just, you just open up the little mini fridge. Oh, I want one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these. And they're cheap. They're like $1, well, like €1.20 or something, you know? Yeah. Does a co-op own the warehouse outright? No. No. I basically used up every dollar I've ever thought about having to make this move happen. It has been incredibly stressful, and we're all in on it. It's just, so it was never supposed to happen this way, that we would be doing the retail store and the warehouse all at the same time. So it's been an incredible load just on the team and the finances and everything. It's like, oh, it's tight, but it's happening. So, Corey and Dorky, the shipping container won't be needed anymore. Nope, we will still have cargo containers on my property so we can supply our retail store. So they still have like the aquariums and all the wood and the rock, and there's still a decent amount of retail only products that we carry, which we hope to long term, if we can do enough business where we get a great pallet rate, we think we could move aquariums and rock and wood and all this stuff we bring into our retail store to lots of retail stores. But that's a chicken and the egg thing. Like, which one comes first? Like, well, no one wants to pay $800 a pallet, but if you don't move X amount of pallets, you don't get the $200 pallet rate. Like, oh, that's dumb. And for whatever reason, it's complete opposite sides. You could ship $100 million with normal packages, no credit towards pallet shipping. I don't get that part, but maybe one day we'll crack that code, it'll change it. What should I start feeding my rainbow fish and angel fry? Baby brine shrimp can be a little bit too big for rainbow fish, depending on the rainbow fish. I like to start them in green water, just raise them in green water, and then also feed brine like every day, and by day 5 or 6 usually they're taking it. You can also Google for some products called APR, artificial protein rotifers. You could probably buy some giant thing. I say giant because it's like a lifetime supply of APR for probably $70, and you're gonna be like, I use this much in 4 years. Gary Lang a lot of times supplies it with his rainbow kits if you're buying any rainbow kits from him. But yeah, green water is my favorite. They can kind of munch on that all day long, and then supplying brine shrimp. And then the brine shrimp can also feed on that, but Slender is usually not good enough unless you're going to do some of the brackish rainbows. Maybe a random one, Corey, but can you get algae from too low of lighting? I've got a tank with small population loads of plants. The answer is yes. Even if you have low light, you can have way too many nutrients. And the goal is always, like, I need some giant, like, scale system in the back. Maybe that's, when I have $2 to rub together again, I'll get some giant prop that has, like, you know those like what are those like the balance scales? I need one with 3 of them, and then I need like one that says algae, or no, I need one that says like nutrients, one that says light, and one that says CO2. And then I need to like be able to touch it and be like, see? Nutrients too much. Oh, light too much. CO2 too much. Right? And then you'd be like, "Oh, I get it." Cuz they all got to be in balance. When they're not in balance, you run into algae. Too much, too little. Too much light, not enough light. Too much nutrients, not enough nutrients. Too much CO2, not enough CO2. Green water works for guppy fry too? Yes. I'm convinced at some point in the future, in the next like 50 years, green water has got something going on in it that our human brains don't understand, because I have been able to, over my 20 years, I've been able to take fish that are like ladybird, for instance, on their deathbed. And for some reason, when you throw them into green water, 3 months later, they come out and you're like, this is the best looking fish I've ever seen. I've seen them just like get better from ick. I've seen them get better from bacterial infections. I've seen them have tumors get fixed, which this is so sensational and crazy. I understand that I sound like I'm insane. I understand that. But I do meet people where they're like, yeah, I have that experience too, but I didn't say it out loud because people think you're insane. I go, I know. There's something like actually magical about green water. And magic is just science we don't understand yet, right? But there's something going on there where it's like, this shouldn't be doing this. This, like, it shouldn't have as much healing. And I don't know what the healing properties are. I have no idea. I just know that if I've got green water in a corner, I'm struggling with a fish. You put that thing in there, 3 months later, it's the best specimen you have in your entire fish room. I don't know why. Is it because they're constantly consuming the green water? Is it because it scrubs out absolutely every metal and toxin and everything? Is it because the pH is swinging because when the light's on, right, they're photosynthesizing. When it's not, it's not. Is it because the oxygen level and CO2 levels are swinging? I don't know what the magical part is, but I don't know. There is something magical about green water. And so when you see green water outside or in your fish room and you raise up really cool fish, I go, I know. There is something I don't understand about that, but it is magical. And it's probably not every time, right? Like, but I swear it's got to be like 75% of the time. I put something in green water that's having a problem, comes out on the other side, like, is the best fish I've ever seen. I don't understand it. I don't know why. It's something crazy though. Let's see here. The bowl of M&Ms was so effective, I still remember it. Good. That's one of the most common things I get told at an event. Like that M&M video. I really like that. I never knew when I was making it that it would resonate with that many people, but whoever it does resonate for, it really resonates. They're like, that video right there. I finally understood it. Danny says, it's all the nature making you insane. That's right. Too much green. My products are green. Nature's green. Easy green. Green water. It's all green. Corey and Candy, the shipping location is optimal for shipping in a reasonable time. Has anyone started to speculate the co-op is considering getting into shipping fish? Everybody is speculating that, but I can assure you we're not. We're just not going to. It's no matter how fast we can get stuff to your door, it doesn't change that there are people that just don't know how to take care of fish. And they freak out when stuff dies. It happens with plants too. There's people that are like, I haven't set up my aquarium yet. What do? But they don't lose it when a plant dies. When a fish dies, it's like an animal dies. People lose it, and that's bad, and they should. But I also believe that we don't have enough people on our team and enough specialists to really, like, when you just think about it, right? What does Aquariumcoop do? Okay, we do social media. Okay. We run a retail store. Pretty good one, right? Pretty good at social media, pretty good at retail store. We run an online business. Pretty good. Customer service team. Pretty good. The #1 freshwater blog. Pretty good, right? What else do? We run a wholesale business. Pretty good at that, right? We deal in the live plants because most online stores don't do live plants also. Pretty good. Then to bring in just a whole nother layer of like, who's the team for the fish? Like that's another facility, that's another team, that's another customer service team, that's another this. At some point, we're just diluting what we do. Oh yeah, we also modify products and manufacture them or have them manufactured for us. All of these are different big wings in the business that most of my time now is meeting with these different teams. Like, hey, how's this going? How's this going? How's this going? Where are we at on this? Where are we at on this? How are we doing over here? What are we doing here? Retail meeting, RPP videos, working on a product, right? Customer service team, doing this. So I do worry that as we add more facets to the business, we're only diluting what we can do down, right? So yeah, I could sell fish, but then maybe we never make a hang on back filter. Don't know. So I try to limit it. Candy says, customer's pretty good. I want to revote. Definitely not. The best way to make yourself look real stupid is to say you're the best at something, because you get proved wrong every day. To say you're pretty good at something, it's just like how I always say, in my opinion, in theory. Anytime you don't add doubt in there, people will prove you wrong. So it's easier to go, you know what, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good at it. Real hard to fight against, well, I don't think you're pretty darn good. How do you quantify that? So I think we're pretty darn good. And that, to me, pretty darn good is about 7 stars on a 5-star scale. If you're pretty darn good, yeah. Julian says, green water, 75% of the time works every time. That's right. What's my favorite Mexican restaurant? Of course, Taco Bell. How do you start or cultivate green water? I always see it as an accident. That's pretty much what I do. I bought different cultures. They've never been more stable than accidental ones, so I just accidentally make it. Usually what I do is I set up a little pond outside and I fill it with water. And then me personally, I dump like this much easy green into the pond. And then I just wait. Like 3 weeks later, I got green water. And then I put some handfuls of grass in there to keep it going. That's pretty much what I do. All right, it's been long enough that Taco Bell is not my favorite restaurant. In fact, they have fallen downhill so far. I haven't eaten there in so long. But I love to troll people because there's someone that's literally like, oh, Curry's favorite Mexican restaurant is Taco Bell. What a fool. How many chili raspberries can I put in a 5 to 10 gallon planted tank? I would say 2 per gallon. The rest of the internet just said I'm a fool, but depending on how you take care of them, I've seen them thrive in these little packs in even this 5-gallon tanks. Chris Lukup's got a lot of those micro raspberries thriving in like 7 gallons of water. Del Taco. What is, if I had to say like a chain restaurant, my current favorite would be Taco Time Northwest, but I haven't eaten there in a long time. And I don't want to like dox myself, be like, actually, I eat this Mexican restaurant right down from my house all the time. In general, I normally go to just independently owned Mexican restaurants and eat there. In my opinion, you kind of eat one, eat them all. A lot of similar ingredients. They can be prepared way differently. Some are very high quality. Some are like, oof, I wouldn't eat there again. But in general, Mexican food's just good. When the store expansion is complete, will the old store be storage or will it be retail space to make a mega store? It'll be mega store. It's all open to the public. Shrimp Sanctuary says, thanks for your time. See you next month after the shrimp competition. You're on my calendar. I didn't realize that was coming up so soon, but yes. Shrimp Sanctuary is going to come and film and hang out with me at least for a day after the shrimp competition. He judges a lot of shrimp stuff. He's got his own YouTube channel. If you're a super shrimp nerd, check him out. If you're not a super shrimp nerd and you want to be, check him out. If you just like looking at him, pretty technical over there. So, yeah, means I got to make my fish room now look terrible within the next month, which I got some work to do for sure. Have I ate New Mexican food? What does that mean? Maybe? Yes? Question mark? Do I eat out more or eat in more? I pretty much do all meetings with people. Well, I say I take that. I don't know if that's true, but I go out to dinner. Like, so I know Zenzo will be in town this week coming up. We'll probably go out to dinner somewhere. Mexican might be on the flavor. Who knows? So I do a lot of those meetings, but in general, I try to eat at home as much as possible. One, I like to save money. Two, my wife's a good cook. Three, I don't really like eating in public anymore. Last time I went out to eat here, I don't want to. I'm not. This is not meant to make the fan feel bad because that's not my goal here. So if you're watching, I'm just talking about this one thing. It happens all the time. Don't feel bad. But Zenzo and I were eating, and we had flown the manager of the Kentucky warehouse out here to train for a couple weeks. And so we went out to dinner, got to meet him and everything. And Zenzo kind of noticed, like, this person's staring at us. And then, they kind of kept noticing. And eventually it was a fan that wanted to come say hi. And it's always awkward because like, should I, shouldn't I? Is that actually Corey or isn't it? And so they're on fun and all that. And it was a good time. But it's not that I hate that interaction because I don't. But it's just not low key. I feel like when I go out to eat and stuff, I got to be on, right? Because in my mind, I never know who's watching me, right? Is that a fan? Am I disappointing someone? I don't let my guard down like I do at home, right? So I try to, and whether I'm at Costco shopping or something, it's pretty common to run into somebody that's like, oh my gosh. And so I'm just always a little bit on. So given the choice, you're like, hey, I'll run and get the food and we'll eat here. I'm like, that sounds amazing. There's times too, like it's a little easier, like in Kentucky, no one was recognizing me. And I think you can see people like recognize, but they're like, Corey wouldn't be in Kentucky. That's not him. Right. But in the Northwest, they're like, well, yeah, he does live around here. It's probably him. So, yeah. And it's not bad though. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody like, okay, it's been like 20 minutes. Dinner's getting cold. Gotta go. Supposed to be having a meeting. Most of the time, though, it's just want to say, hey, thanks, love what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Zenzo, nice to meet you. Kind of a little meet and greet. So, let's see here. I'm running low on the wildcat coins. I actually just abandoned it. Right, do I have it right here? Do I even have any up here? I abandoned carrying the coins because so often people would have no idea what they were. So I'm just like carrying all this extra weight. And then two, when I give a coin out, then I'm just making it kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh yeah, I don't have time right now. Let's go grab dinner or do something. And then I'd run into like another fan that would want a wildcat coin. And I was like, this is just chain reactioning. I don't have time to do this all the time. So right now I kind of just have a hoard of coins going, well, I've given a few out. Like I do have some in my backpack sometimes. I gave some out when I went to Canada and we were shipping some orders out from April's Aquariums. I put like 2 or 3 in boxes. So there's 2 or 3 in Canada right now. And if I had more on me, I was going to do that from Kentucky. So I'm kind of just turning them more into a collector's item. The other thing I thought was maybe I give it as like a secret pass of like, hand this coin at my retail store and they'll know basically whatever comes after that must be true. They said I could have the whole store. He's got the coin. Must be true. Let's see. What time is it? 6:03. My wife asked me whether I wanted dinner at 6 or 6:30, and it's 6:03. So that means I got to wrap it up. Got dinner happening. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. 2 hours flies by, even though I told myself, give me an hour. I got stuff I got to do. 2 hours. Make sure you buy all our mugs. Keep our people busy. That'd be great. Buy plants. Should ship to you a lot faster. And if you're on most of our customers anyway, should ship a lot faster. And yeah, I'm trying to think. What video I got coming out this week? I think I'm talking about Dan's Fish. Maybe. And then I think after that, I think it might be Kentucky warehouse build time. After that, I don't think I filmed something yet, so I plan to. So thanks for hanging out and listen to my rantings and ravings. And I know it's been a while, but I had a birthday in there. I had to travel. I had stuff to do. I killed Ladybird, just busy. try to do it more as always. Thanks for hanging out. Buy all of our stuff, support our team, and yeah. Oh, my next video I film probably I'm really jonesing to set up some ponds. I'm probably setting up ponds outside because that's what I've been thinking about lately. So we will see if I do that. I just realized I don't have the right screen up at all to end this live stream. Of course not. Why would I do that? Why would I be prepared? All right. Make sure you compliment somebody. Enjoy nature. Go camping. Buy all of our stuff first, obviously. Buy everything we've got. And then go camping. Get out in nature. And then come visit our retail store when it finally opens. All right. We'll see you. Bye-bye. Thank you.